Okay, so there's absolutely no way that I'm not going to get hit for that. So if you're catching this on the replay and not live, you're missing out on some of the best clips from Two Towers, in my humble opinion. And since it's my stream, we're going to go with what I say. And the thing is, I couldn't get if I made the scenes any larger than that, they came like blurry and out of focus, and they just didn't look very good. So I was like, you know what? We'll keep it to where it looks its best, because that's the whole point of this, right? Is to enjoy and to really just soak it all up. How can you not love it? Oh my goodness. The greatest adaptation ever, the greatest film trilogy ever, and that is even with the artistic artistic license and inserted Peter Jackson used. But I think it's really important to note that when he set out to make this, he didn't set out to try and fill it with any type of messaging. He wasn't trying to tell anyone else's story. He wasn't trying to outdo Professor Tolkien, right? And we need that back. And it was just, it's been so long. So the reason we're doing Two Towers today, as opposed to my top 10 favorite Bond songs, which we will do next week, but we've interjected because it's really important to remember the good stuff. We had some not so great news come out this week. You can check out my video that I did on that. And it's one of those things where you really want to just remember the good. So one, you're not crazy. And two, that this is actually something that happened. And, we actually at one point did have creatives who cared, essentially. Like they actually gave a crap, excuse my language, about what Tolkien wanted and what Tolkien said. There's just so much good out there. So let's do this.
It was remarkable that Tolkien basically spent his entire life creating what he called the secondary world. He created the languages, he created the thousands of years of history. It's so rich and so detailed that nobody today that writes a piece of fiction is ever going to come close to the sheer wealth of information and detail. As filmmakers, as writers, we had no interest whatsoever in putting our junk, our baggage into these movies. We just thought we should take what Tolkien cared about clearly, we should take those and we should put them into the film. This should ultimately be Tolkien's film, it shouldn't be ours.
Imagine that. My goodness gracious. Actually caring about the source material and the author and what they had to do and say. Those aren't my dogs. Those are some loud dogs. My dog's laying on the floor over there. But yes, respecting the source material, respecting the fans, and just telling a good story and not inserting yourself in it. Yes, Sam's speech was so good. This whole film is so incredible, between the dynamics of Aragorn and Theoden. And Aragorn isn't a king yet, but he's looking at this man and what he's willing to do. He's looking at Theoden and recognizing what Theoden is willing to do and everything that he's lost, and he's still willing to fight and there's just that dynamic, and you've got Gandalf returning, and you've got you have Legolas and Gimli's friendship is really starting to bloom, and you have Sam and Frodo are getting closer to Mordor, and Sam is like, we cannot trust this guy, but Frodo's like, yeah, no, I do pity him. I get why Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance, and I think I would have made the same. I think I would have made the same decision, and he finds himself relating to Gollum, and that's that you're wondering, like, oh my gosh, this is kind of terrifying. And did it get everything from the books correct? No, it didn't. It didn't. There is not a soul alive that will tell you that it did. But what it got right, it got dang near perfect. Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Hey, you're entitled the way you feel, Lyle. If you think I'm wrong, then that's fine. But if this comes out and it's girl power Hera, and we're talking about the War of the Rohirrim animated film that's due to come out in December. If this thing drops in December and it is not about Helm Hammerhand and it is in fact about Hera, it's going to be brutal. And I'm just telling you what has been stated about the IP or about the film itself. I'm not just out here tilting at windmills. Yes, respecting this material. Yes, rest in peace, Bernard Hill. Probably, oh my gosh, this entire cast. I mean, Christopher Lee, Bernard Hill. I mean, just I cannot imagine anyone else playing Saruman or Theoden. Like, honestly, truly, I don't know that anyone else would be able to embody them. And they're still, to this day, 20 years. It's wild to think that they're still on the circuit for conventions. People still want to hear them and talk to them and take pictures with them. Miranda Otto was at a convention, and she did some swordplay with one of the fans who really just was like in love with her. It was just like, oh my gosh, like you were my favorite. I loved how you portrayed Eowyn, and like was just very sweet to every fan that was there. Took her time with them. It was so wonderful to see, and the fact that people still want to do interviews and that people are still talking about it, and the amount of children and adults that got turned onto the books from this, that got introduced to Tolkien's world that way. It's just absolutely wonderful when you think about it like that, because so many people fell in love with Lord of the Rings from this, and then they got to go to the books and they'd be like, oh my gosh, there's even more in the books. And it's so incredible when you get to see that love, foster and grow. It's incredible. Theoden sings metal. It's a great song. It is a great song for Theoden. Yeah, no, Lord of the Rings is metal. Like, have you guys not, like, Tolkien was metal. I have no doubt. I mean, let's just look at, I don't know, here. Let's do Witch King of Agmar. I need you to actually look at this guy and tell me. I mean, look at this. Tolkien was metal. He was metal. There is no denying it. I'm flabbergasted at how just perfect, wonderful, freaking outstanding. Every element of Tolkien's words and descriptions are just, oh gosh, wonderfully. You base the female warrior story on one line in one article that is mentioned nowhere else. Okay, to be fair, Lyle, you're that true. But it is mentioned, it is talked about, and it is out there. The fact that it's not in any other articles doesn't mean it's not true. And to be fair, they are making this entire movie about Hera, who doesn't have a name in the appendix in Appendix A, off of one line. So they're making this whole story up off of one line. They even had to make up her name. To be fair, like if we're gonna play that game, just throwing that out there. But I appreciate your input, Lau. Thank you. But yeah, Witch King of Angmar is just, I mean, my favorite thing I think is my cousin finally read the books, and he was like, "There's no eye on the tower," and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, that was a artistic liberty that Jackson took because." I said, you know, the way that he described it, it's a much more like film is obviously it's a visual medium, and so like you had to visualize it. Well, he helped the audience visualize it, and he was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, one of the ways you can always kind of tell if someone's read the books or not is if how they reference the great eye, essentially, and how it works and such." Hello, Lance. Outcasts Creative. How are you doing? Guys, if you aren't subbed to Outcasts Creative, fantastic channel. They do great work. He was supposed to get an interview. That didn't happen, but it was good stuff. Yeah. Wonderful stuff for sure. But yeah, you look at all of this and the description, the way Tolkien describes Middle Earth, and when you get into the even deeper lore, and you look at Rivendell and Lothlorien, and I mean Numenor, like when you get way deep into stuff, you know, you start reading the like the Silmarillion, and at the point where they're in Numenor and they talk about, you know, the dome that they built, and they covered the stars, and they were doing terrible things that were antithetical to everything that they were supposed to be doing. And she climbs to the top of the mountain and she begs for forgiveness, and they're like, "Too late." You know, and you've got the faith, that's the faithful versus the kingsmen, and it's oh gosh, Rings of Power really jacked up the Second Age. Like how they are allowed to continue with that monstrosity is so far beyond me. So far beyond me. It's just wild. Off to see the extended trilogy at cinema in July, 12 hours. So you're going to do it all in one shot. So not like day 1, day 2, day 3, because that's what a lot of people have been doing. That's fan-freaking-tastic. Absolutely, you should do that. Everybody should do that. I'm taking my kiddos. We're going to do one, like I went and I Iron Manned it. I did it all in one day. But we're going to take my kiddos, probably not the 5-year-old. I don't know that the 5-year-old would be able to sit through 4 hours, let alone 12 and a half, but you never know. But we're going to take the older 3, and we're going to take them one by one a day, and have some fun with them. All in one day. Yeah, Iron Man it. Do it. Hello, Miss Martin Muses. Hello, lovely. So, what makes the Two Towers so incredible? Not just the not just the film. I mean, obviously it's nostalgic Nirvana, and we have the film or whatever. Hello, Logical Spark. Wonderful to see you. Who else is here? I didn't say hello. My bad. Joe Dog, what's up? Legionist, always there. Can always count on you. Thank you, good sir. Jason Cooper, fade out. Don't fade out, stay. Dusty, I got your comment, but, well, thank you for being here. The question is, hello, wonderful to see you. Good stuff, good stuff. Anonymous. Yo, yo. Yo, yo. All right. So, ooh, you just picked up the Silmarillion. You are in for a treat, Mr. Jason Cooper. It is good. I can't say so. It is good, but it's also like heartbreaking at the same time, as are many things that are wonderful in this world. So, I think, good Lord, the neighbors really got to get their dogs. I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. Those are some very loud, yippy little dogs. One of them is a Pomeranian, and the other one is I forget what the other one is. But I know it's a doodle of some kind, and they like to talk. However, but we love doggos. All right. So, as most people, I think most people should know anyway. The Two Towers actually begins where the Fellowship film left off. So we open up the Two Towers with Boromir departing. And it's literally called The Departure of Boromir. And it's like it just rips your soul out. And it captures you, and you keep turning the pages, and even though you know what is coming, you're like praying for something else. And of course, that's not how it works. And this is just so powerful, and it's such a gripping, it's just a gripping story that, I mean, I wish I wish we still got books like this that were I don't know another name for it besides pushed. I mean, the books that are getting that are trending now, or that are getting pushed now, or whatever you want to call it, the ones that hit the cycle and that get really pushed to the forefront, they're not very good. They're not well written, and they are not they aren't what they say they are. They are very much they are very much a like a hollow echo of stories that we used to get, if that makes sense. And I wish there was a different way to put it, but I don't have another way to say it. It's hard because like, I'm not saying that writing is necessarily easy, but it isn't impossible, and it shouldn't be impossible to tell good stories. And it certainly shouldn't be even more impossible for those stories to be highlighted and brought to the forefront. Like, you're not doing anyone any favors. You aren't doing anyone any favors by lying about the quality of someone's work, or because where they go, oh well, DEI, this is a quadriplegic person of color who is non-binary. So we're gonna push their story first and foremost, and put it at the top over all of these like other people who have put years and energy and who have much better stories. We don't care about the better stories. We care about the optics, right? And I think that that's just such a cruel twist of fate. There are still good stories being put. Brandon Sanderson just had, in fact, I'll pull it up here in just a second. Top book plug series, Wheel of Time. Yes, Wheel of Time. It's very good. No, it is not badly written. If you are a Gravemaster level, actually, I have a little treat for you. So, members, if you are a Gravemaster level member, there will be a Gravemaster only, and Gravemaster members only live stream where we're going to talk about that a little bit. Oh, look who's here!
Hey, look at that! I got my special.
I see.
Towers avatar.
Fantastic. I love it. You showed up ready to go.
Well, I won't burden your presence too long because it's
Tis not a burden.
Here, I normally go to bed around 4, so.
Good Lord. Oh,
yeah, sad. Well, I've always done that really because I'm an acting coach, so I do. My clients are American. They're behind me. And when I'm not coaching, I'm writing or editing. In fact, I just finished a massive edit, so that's what I was on today. But yeah, I just saw you were doing 2 towers, and I keep missing people when they do streams about the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I've got the experience of seeing these films when they were released is something that you can't recreate now because that time has passed. But I mean, if you can imagine going to I saw the opening night of this in London, the very first show, and
gosh, that must have been amazing.
It was. I was about 6 rows back from the screen, so I was pretty close. So the screen was ginormous. This is in a auditoria that seats like probably close to 1,000 people. It's about 900 people it seats, I think.
Ooh.
And every seat was gone, you know.
Oh, of course,
every seat. And you got that huge cheer when the New Line logo comes up, just like you used to get the huge cheer when 20th Century Fox logo came up for Star Wars, you know.
Kinda, yeah.
And then, of course, the other thing that this is the first time since The Empire Strikes Back, I would argue, that you've been hanging on for a sequel.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of people haven't read the book, so a lot of people don't know what's happening next. I hadn't read them for a long time, so I sort of had vague memories of. Yes. But it's that feeling of, oh my God, you know, I had to wait a year for this, and the audience was so pumped. I mean, it was.
Oh God, yes.
It was just like everyone was, you know, it's just different bits got cheers and yeah.
I will never forget. So growing up, my hometown, our theater was in the mall, and there were I thought it was really big until like I saw like a really big theater in the capital city of my state. But so Bismarck is the capital of North Dakota.
You're in North Dakota?
Well, that's where I was raised. Yes. So
damn.
Yeah, and so my hometown, it had 3 screens, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we have a big theater. And then I saw one in Bismarck, which was way bigger. And then like you come to Texas and you're like, oh my God, like how big can you make it? That like they really do make that a bet. But I will never forget when the Fellowship of the Ring came out, it showed in 2 of the 3 screens on opening night. When the 2 Towers came out, it showed on all 3 screens starting at midnight. So midnight between Thursday and Friday, because remember, like when movies actually released on Friday. But so at midnight, and it was on every single screen. And then the next day, so like for the whole opening weekend, it was Two Towers was on all three of the screens for all the like nothing else was playing for that opening weekend, and every theater, like, it was sold out. And this, of course, was before the internet, before you could go order tickets online. So you'd be standing in line and you would just be praying that you could get a ticket or two tickets next to each other, anything. Yeah. And you know, and then you'd get to, I never forgot, we tried to make the 5 p.m. showing, and the group right in front of us went, and we were like, okay, but it's all 3 screens, so we might still get in. The group in front of us got their tickets, and then they put the sign out, 5 p.m. showing, sold out. Only 30 tickets left for the 7:30 p.m. showing. And so everybody's like panicking, but we were next in line, so we're like, okay, we're going to definitely get the 7:30 p.m. showing. And the whole audience was just like so engrossed in the film and the story. And we were like, Helm's Deep happened and everybody was cheering.
Yeah, Helm's Deep is I mean, it's kind of like the movie Zulu. It's this one of the best, especially the extended version of the Helm's Deep battle in particular. I just love all the different siege weapons that the orcs have, you know, the big grappling. There's that great shot when the grappling hook goes up and it pierces one guy and like pins him to the wall of the rear of the tower. That was like such a great shot.
It was amazing. Oh my goodness. And everybody in the theater is like, so when it gets to when you're at Theoden King and he's like, you know, how did it come to this?
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're feeling like the whole audience, the whole theater is just like, oh my gosh. And I kid you not, like whoever was running the theater, because this is when it was still on film, obviously. So they all had to hit play at the exact same time. They had that thing, all the people upstairs all had that down to a T, because everything cued on the same time. And we knew it because all three of the theaters, you could hear everyone else cheering at the part where Éomer and Gandalf appear at the top of the hill and come cresting down, and then they break the lines. Everybody's cheering. Everybody laughed at the Gollum part, like, stupid fat hobbits. Like, it wasn't just the theater we were in. It was the whole entire 3 screens that were available. Sure. Everybody experienced it together. And it was just incredible. And you really felt like you were a part of an experience. And it's just never going to be repeated. And I said it in the description, but I mean it when I say this is by far, and I put it above Empire. When I say this, I do. This is the best central or like sequel in a trilogy. Like, this is the best middle part of any and all trilogies. It's just perfect, the book and the film.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I would probably argue, because you know, if you look at the original Star Wars trilogy, Jedi has I love Jedi, by the way. It's actually, for a long time, when I was a kid, I actually liked it better than Empire. Don't tell anybody. But it does have issues, mainly Ewok issues. And it would have been so much better if, you know, it had been a Wookiee planet. I would have been way more into that. But look, putting that aside, I think like the Lord of the Rings trilogy is probably, in cinema history, it's probably the best trilogy ever made, I think, because I think it's got less flaws than Star Wars. The first 2 films are near perfect, but the third film is like I said, it's got some issues, but these are great.
I think overall, especially like, I think the scene with Luke and Vader, as much as people want to be like, oh my gosh, they're just like little teddy bears or whatever. I get it. I get the issues, but I think that the other scene, like Lando in the Millennium Falcon, and Han and Leia down on the forest moon of Endor, and then Luke and Vader, that scene where he chucks his suit and it's like, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me. I think that overshadows, and definitely, like, no amount of Ewoks is going to take away from that, in my humble opinion.
No, no, absolutely. I don't know if you want to see these, but I've got some pretty interesting pictures of the set of Helm's Deep here.
Obviously, I want to see them.
Obviously, okay. Obvious it is.
Obvious.
Let me just.
Sure, no problem.
Here you go. So one of the things, I mean,
Oh.
probably most people have watched the behind the scenes, but if you haven't, they used 3 different scale sets for Helm's Deep. There was one which was 1/4 miniature, so that they could actually use this with the actors shot from quite far away. You put them right in the foreground and you put that in the background, and that would create that kind of effect. This is what the set looked like when it was being built. This is the same location where they would later build Minas Tirith. So the Minas Tirith set would basically be constructed here. Same place. This is what it looks like now. So it's just a quarry now.
Yeah,
it's kind of a shame, man. I wish they'd quarry in a car park. When it could have been a castle.
Could have been. Yes, could have been.
But
New Zealand missed out big time on that one. I know they have Hobbiton, but
it would. I mean, you would have had to have built it a different way, because if you're going to build it theme park style, you've got to build it to last, haven't you? But
yeah.
But and there's if you Google, people can find a whole load of, plus all the Lego sets.
Oh yeah.
All this cool shit that I want to buy that I can't afford.
I know. Like when the Rivendell Lego set came out, I was like, I hate being poor. Yeah. I was like, God in heaven.
And some people have built their own kind of Helm's Deep models and stuff, and they're just silly.
Look at what this inspired, though. Like, look at what this created. All from one man's imagination.
Yeah.
One man's passion, and he shared it with the world, and it became millions of other people's passions.
This is pretty cool, this one.
That is amazing.
There we go. Got a bit. Oh, what's going on here? Let's get rid of that. Oh man. So yeah, there we go. That looks pretty cool. I like that. I would have liked that as a kid. I tell you now. If Lord of the Rings had Lego been out when I was a kid, God, my parents' wallets would have been stinging. Would not have been good for them. If there's any more of this, is it? Oh yeah, here we go. It's got some. I mean, I like all these little cool details, like these statues and.
If I had I told my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, we need like a second house for just all of, so that I can just like nerd out in it, and I can absolutely just make it insane and do all this wild stuff. And he was like, well, like this, that, and the other. And I was like, no, I don't think you understand what I actually want to do. Like, I don't even know how to put it in, but it's like, when you come through the door, it's like you open up a hobbit door, and then so at first you're like in a hobbit hole, but then as you like walk through the house, you go into like the different parts of it. I want it set up like the map, so you've got like Rivendell in one room, and you've got Rohan in another, and you've got Gondor, and like Minas Tirith would have to be on the steps. There's so much I want to do, but I need like an Elon Musk budget to do it.
Well, don't we all? I'm just like, at the minute, you've no idea how much I'm struggling just to make the monthly bills and rent. It's actually quite scary right now, man. It's
so sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty horrendous. So I'm taking any job at the moment. It's currently writing a World War I horror script for somebody, which actually it's pretty fun. And
that seems like a very plausible, especially if you include like the like mustard gas. If it like
Yeah, we got a mustard gas scene.
Yeah, and if you've got the battalion of the dead, because they should have died after they got gassed, and they all knew it, and so they're like, okay, well, let's just take as many of these guys down as we can, and then they just continued to keep fighting like zombies, and it scared it. Like the Germans thought that they were like possessed or something. That I could see that being very much a.
Well, I won't tell you the plot, but there is a mustard gas scene where there's a unexploded mustard gas round. Which somebody fires at it and causes the shell to explode and floods the trench with gas. It's kind of a cool sequence. But let's go back to Two Towers. So we chat about that a bit before I have to duck off. What else did you want to explore about it?
About Two Towers, God, everything. But as you know, I try to keep these
here for 6 hours. Yeah, if you cover everything.
6 hours. We're only going to get through the first third. No,
I'll tell you a couple of other interesting stories. So, one of my friends went up to be cast in Lord of the Rings. He went up for Lord of the Rings and Band of Brothers, both in the same sort of month, I think, because they were scheduled around the same time. And he was up for one of the Hobbits. He was up for either Merry or Pippin.
Ooh.
And I can see why, because he was the right height. Because they were looking for actors who were, they had to be between 5'4" and 5'8".
Yeah.
And that was so that when they scaled them down and they put them next to each other, they looked right against the normal sized actors.
Yeah.
And
no, because even when you see all four of them like at cons now up on stage, they are like the exact same height.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that's quite sweet the way the four of them bonded, because at the time, and you can, if you've ever read his biography, There and Back Again, Sean Astin.
Yes.
He was quite cynical at the time he did Lord of the Rings. He'd been in the industry quite a while at that point.
Yes.
He was more experienced than everybody else. He'd gone through his prima donna phase, because I'd seen it on the set of Memphis Belle because I was there. And everybody else was up for a game of football, and he was like, "Where's my trailer?" This kind of thing. But I think by the time he got to Lord of the Rings, he was starting to mellow out, because I know another director friend of mine said he was up for doing independent films, which is how I heard about that. And there's a bit in his biography I always remember where what's his name, who played the lead, who played Frodo, God, his name's gone from my head.
If you had
Frodo Baggins.
Oh my gosh, Elijah Wood.
Oh my God, what's wrong with us?
I'm not sure. If you hadn't have asked me, I would have known it right off the top of my head.
I'm allowed to have a brain fart because it's nearly 3:30. But So Elijah, he said in Austin's autobiography, Elijah said to me, because it's kind of like a diary almost of the production. And he said, Elijah said to me, "Oh, we're going to be best friends for life." And he put after that, "I really wish that was true, but Elijah's just starting out in the business, and because he turned 18, I think, on the set of Lord of the Rings, if I remember rightly."
Yes, he did.
And
he was an itty bitty.
It's very true that in the film industry, you're like a family for this short, very intense period, and then it's done, and then you move on to the next thing. And sometimes you might catch people socially once in a blue moon, but people that stay like really close, really tight with you, and you see them frequently, that's really rare. Just like it is in real life, it's really rare. But with the four of them, even though they've gone through huge passages of time where they haven't seen each other, you can see that Elijah Wood was right about that, and they have stayed best mates. 100%. And I like to think that dampened Sean's cynicism about the industry a little bit, I know he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I think the experience of working on that for 9 months was, when you look at the behind the scenes videos and everything that come with the extended and the all of that, and you watch those guys not only filming it but also kind of, they've got 3 weeks off, so they go and bugger off to Australia together or something to
Yeah.
do bungee
Yeah.
jumping. Yeah, I was so jealous. I was watching it go, oh man, this, I want an experience like this. I want to do a shoot like this where I go through something like this with people, because it is a very unique experience behind the camera as well when you're doing a project of this size and scale.
Oh, I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. I will pause for just a second because Lyle gave a 50. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that, Lyle. There's something for putting up with me. I'm not putting up with I have never wanted to be more wrong about a project than War of the Rohirrim. I hope you're right, Lyle. Like I genuinely do. Thanks for putting
Sorry, carry on reading out the doodah or
yeah. Here's something for putting up with me, LOL, with your usual grace. Oh, here's the last thing on Lord of the Rings. It's a prequel. Oh, War of the Rohirrim. Okay, it's a prequel to the movie trilogy, and we know Jackson, Boyens, and Walsh made changes to the story in the films. I trust them to do it again in this case. Well, so remember, Walsh has been there since the beginning, but Jackson and Boyens only just came on as executive producers. They haven't been executive producers the whole time. So that is something to kind of consider. But you're right. Trust me, I will be the first person to do backflips if I am wrong. And I have never wanted to be more wrong in my entire
This is the animated show, right?
Yes, it is the animated show that's supposed to drop in December. I did a video on it because a whole bunch of they showed 20 minutes of it.
Oh, really?
Yes, at the
where can I see this?
well, you can't. They showed it at the Annie's animation.
Were you there?
I was not. I was not there. I wish.
Well, somebody must have filmed it or pirated it or something.
You would think. I have hunted high and low. Not that we condone pirating here, folks.
No, of course not.
I have hunted high and low for a glimpse, a copy, and anything. And I have not found any. But a whole bunch of articles.
I'm having a look now.
Huh?
I'm having a look now.
Yeah. If you find one, please let me know. But
this was 2 days ago this debuted, right?
Yes, 2 days. And I have been knocking down all of my usual walls and turning over rocks that I've not flipped in ages, like trying desperately to find a crumb of footage. But I have not had any such luck. But
right. Yeah, no, I just had a quick
several
look.
different sources.
These are all clips from other things. There's all this people saying first look footage, and then there's some stills and
yeah, it's just a bunch of stills. That's what I found too. So they're keeping this very close to the chest, but they have let some stuff out. They have said that this is a female-led Lord of the Rings story. It's about Helm Hammerhand, but it's going to be from his unnamed daughter, and the name that they chose to give her was Hera. It's from her perspective. It's going to be a female-led Lord of the Rings. And so that's what all these articles are running with. And then I found that she will be having to lead her people and will be calling on a long lost tribe of female warriors. So this is going, I have never wanted to be more wrong about anything in my life except maybe Rings of Power. Like,
well, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, so I am
Rings of Power stream, so let's not give it any oxygen. But
no,
so just appalling filmmaking and television making.
Because of the news that dropped on Tuesday, and because of everything that's come out about Rings of Power, of course, we know that nostalgic Nirvana is where we come for the stuff we love. And the Two Towers, we love. We love the Two Towers. So we're going to talk about the Two Towers because it's great stuff. It's really great stuff. You're wrong, Lady Chi. I'll be the first to do backflips. I'll race you, questioners. I will race you.
There's a funny thing, of course, is Shelob is actually in the whole Shelob sequence is actually in the Two Towers book.
Yes, it is.
And it was originally going to be in the movie. And they realized when they finished editing the Battle of Helm's Deep, Peter Jackson turned around and was like, yeah, I think we might have to bump this to the third movie.
We're going to have to wait.
The big concern was that they already knew the running time of the third film was going to be massively long.
Yep. And nobody cared. Like, by the time it came, no one cared.
No, because I mean,
everybody was like, it was we like, get more.
We were eating from the we were drinking from the cauldron. You know, it's like give us as much as we can. So I don't think anybody was really too concerned about.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I actually had a friend I served with in attendance, and he said what? He said that he liked it. Ah! Oh my gosh! Tell me more. Tell me more, Lyle. I'm waiting with bated breath. Good backflip live stream. I'll tell you what. If I am wrong, if I am wrong about War of the Rohirrim, I may just do a backflip live, and then you can all watch me break my neck. But it may happen, Mudcrab. If I'm wrong, abso-flippin'-lutely.
I mean, I'll listen. I'll judge it when it comes. You know what? I'd rather not see anything. I'd rather not see a trailer. I'd rather not see anything. There's a movie I'm going to see in a couple of weeks called Kevin Costner's Horizon, the new Western. It looks amazing.
Yes.
And
critics hate it.
Well,
makes
so
me want
far
to see it
people have been bitching.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good.
Do you know what they said about? Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. But I just that to me, it's like when I see a trailer like that by a director like that who's got a bit of vision and is going to take some risks, and it's got those kinds of visuals. It harks back to this time of filmmaking. You know, the Two Towers has got. This is a gutsy filmmaker who had a vision.
Yes.
This is how it was done back in the day. Somebody had a vision and a really good script, and they would pitch to a studio.
Yeah, it was written well.
The studio would say yes or no, and the studio would probably keep a reasonably firm handle on things. But Peter Jackson's trilogy is brilliant because he was largely left to get on with it. And he gave them the confidence that he would deliver, of course.
Yeah. Minimal studio interference from Warner Brothers is always a good thing.
They still tried to screw him over on the money, which is just unbelievable.
I know. That's because Warner Brothers they're greedy.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was he ended up taking to court, whether it was New Line or Warner Brothers or who owns which. And
it was Warner. He had to take Warner Brothers to court. Because Warner Brothers.
It sound like someone's got an Indiana Jones whip in the background of your.
No, those are the neighbor kids. They've got the little. Do you know the little like
guns?
No, it's the poppers, like the firework poppers that you throw on the ground. They're called snaps.
I was going to say, why have kids got poppers? What's up with that? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're the little.
Yeah, no, I know the ones you mean. Yeah. You pull them and they like string pops out of them and shit.
Yeah, they're no. You throw them on the ground and they explode. They like go pop.
Oh, you mean we used to call them oh god, they were called like snap-its or something.
Yes, yeah, that's what they are, and they are they're very loud. But I did ask them to because they wanted to have a Roman candle fight. So I've got I have one neighbor, and I was like, guys, can we wait to kill each other? I said, can you guys wait until like 10 o'clock to try and kill each other? And they were like, "Aw, okay."
Roman candle fight. That's a new one on me.
Oh nope. That's been around for a long time. I did that when I was a kid. You take the Roman candle and you take aim, at allegedly people you like, and you try and shoot them with the Roman candle.
So I'll tell you some of the other things about the Two Towers that are great. One of the best scenes in the Two Towers is actually not any of the action stuff, but it's the moment when Gollum talks to himself.
Yes.
And you've got the evil Gollum and the not so evil Gollum. Schmeagol and Gollum kind of fighting it out with each other, as it were.
Yep.
And that's so well done.
Yes, Andy Serkis is truly brilliant. Like, and the way that they shot it, where like he'd go behind a tree or he'd like look down and look up, and it was just handled beautifully. And this is, of course, the scene that we're talking about. I'm not listening.
Yeah.
And you could really honestly feel the trauma coming through the screen, where he didn't want to be Gollum anymore. He didn't want it. He didn't have to be strong anymore because he had Master, and he could be safe. And then, of course, as we know, that got kaplooshed.
It's interesting that, of course, now there's this talk of this Hunt for Gollum movie, and somebody put in the chat that Vigo and Ian are interested. I don't know which Ian he's talking about, but
McClellan.
Okay.
Yeah.
But several friends of mine worked on the Hunt for Gollum fan film. I was at the premiere of that in London.
Oh wow!
And it's basically the same story. It's
Yeah.
It's why Gollum's being hunted. It's all the stuff that happens sort of between the two. I've got the poster of it for you there. If you haven't seen it, it's free on.
I have watched it. It is fantastic. It got taken down for a little bit.
It did, and there was such a massive outcry about that.
Yes.
Kind of Big Brother and all that shit that they were forced to put it back up again, which I thought was amazing. But I just I'm a bit like, there's so much other stuff in the Lord of the Rings realm. I'm kind of like, guys, come on, man. I think it's just because he loves. I know that Andy loves playing Gollum, and he's just like up for doing it again. But I always I had a pitch idea for if I was doing a Lord of the Rings TV show. You know what I would do? I would tell the story of the Southlands, of the the Haradrim and all of those guys, and how they came to side with Sauron.
Yes.
And it would start with, do you remember that guy that gets killed off the Oliphant? And Faramir says, and he's looking down at his body, and he goes, I wonder where these people come from. I see this guy, and I wonder who he was, who his family were, why he was fighting us.
Yeah.
And I'd start the first episode with that, and I would flash back in time to that guy's family at the Council of War, where it's being proposed that they need to travel north, and you'd have like agents of Sauron like infiltrating the royal court and stuff like that to stir up mischief in the same way that Saruman does that in his domain. And it would be this kind of political intrigue, obviously with action and stuff in it as well, but and it would end with them with them all going to fight in the final battle and ultimately being defeated. But that would be a really good idea for a story, because you'd be telling the perspective of these other races that's never been explored before. But no, that's too, I can't do that.
Could not possibly. I want to see Glorfindel. Like, I would love to, I would just hit like Glorfindel versus the Balrog. Like, I would love to. I'm so terrified that they're gonna try and do something with that in Rings of Power, and I don't want it to happen.
Oh, I'm not even sure I can watch season 2 of Rings of Power, to be honest.
I'm
Getting
going
through
to, but
getting through season 1 was pretty painful.
brutal. It was so brutal. I mean, just
There's a son of an actor that is sadly no longer with us, but his father came to see my first play, and funnily enough, I met his son for the first time in a restaurant the other day, and I was like, so, what have you been up to? And Sam Hazeldine is the name of the actor, Sam Hazeldine. If people Google him, you'll recognise him. He's been in loads of stuff. And he said, I've just finished Rings of Power, season 2. And I was like, oh, really? I said, what role are you doing on that? Oh, I don't know. I play some bad guy. I took over from somebody from season 1.
He's the new Adar.
Yeah, and
Adar.
I said, so how was it? Was it, did you get a sense of like competing agendas? Was there, lots of rewrites and shit? And he said, you know what? He said, actually, it was one of the best shoots I've ever been on. Everybody's no infighting. Yeah, that's Sam Hazeldine, really lovely guy. Yeah, he said it was great, and I was like, oh, I mean, now look, he could just be saying that, but I don't know. I got the impression that he's quite a straight up guy, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be great or anything. I mean, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love them to turn it around in season 2 and it to be fantastic.
I would too. I would love for that to happen. So there's plenty on Glorfindel. Are you talking about Lance's idea? Because
we couldn't use anything Tolkien didn't flesh out because we have next to nothing on the Eradrim. Well, I don't know what the copyright issues are around that with the Tolkien estate. I think ultimately what happens is you'd have to write a story outline and present it to them. But I think if it all ties into things that we know happen, and that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what Sauron does. He corrupts races with greed. Yeah. That's what he does. So if you just show him doing that with other races as part of a storyline that we know end up in the ultimate scrap, as it were.
I would be more in, like, I guess I would rather see like Beren and Luthien, or like, because kind of like what Lyle said, like something that Tolkien has fleshed out himself. Because unfortunately, and I'm not, and obviously Lance, you are far more talented than the people they got working on this now. But the people that they have working on like Rings of Power, they either don't know or they don't care. And I'm not sure which one is worse. And they are just not... Well, like J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, when they go out there and they're like, yeah, we're going to tell the story that Tolkien didn't tell. And it's like, okay, if Tolkien wanted to tell that story, then Tolkien would have. Like, you know what I mean? So I get where Lyle is coming from. That's my fear. Like, when you're trying to build out stuff on... When you have all of this other incredible stuff, like we could literally spend weeks talking about the King of the Mark, like that could easily my brain stopped talking, or my brain stopped working all of a sudden. If you go to the appendices, the first line of Kings, the second line of Kings, and then of course the third line of Kings starts with Eomer, and it talks about here. You know what? I happen to have my book in front. I just happen to have it right here. Of course I do. And the thing is, when we're talking about the King of the Mark and what they do and accomplish, that's the Numenor Kings. That's not the right Kings. Wrong line of Kings. That's equally right. Fascinating.
I'm also, to see who the writers are on the show and what they've
done. Also, if you guys just want to believe that, and to be fair, Aragorn and Eowyn, they definitely they lived a very long time in happiness and bliss. But if you don't want a bittersweet ending, don't read the appendices. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so here we go. So the third line, right, starts because so Theoden was obviously the last king of the second line, right? And now when we talk about Éomer, when he was Marshal of the Mark, and right here when was given his father's charge in the East Marches. In the War of the Ring, Theodred fell in battle with Saruman at the crossing of Isen. Therefore, before he died on the fields of Pelennor, Theoden named Éomer his heir and called him king. In that day, Éowyn also won renown, for she fought in that battle, riding in disguise, and was known after in the Mark as the Lady of the Shield Arm. Éomer became a great king, and being young when he succeeded Theoden, he reigned for 65 years, longer than all their kings before him, save Aldor the Old. In the War of the Ring, he made the friendship with King Elessar, which is Aragorn, and I lost my spot, and of Imrel of Dol Amarath, and he rode often to Gondor. In the last year of the Third Age, he wedded Lothlorien, daughter of Imrel. Their son, Elfine the Fair, ruled after him. In Éomer's day in the Mark, men had peace who wished for it, and the people increased both in the dales and the plains, and their horses multiplied. In Gondor, the King Elessar now ruled, and in Arnor also. In all the lands of those realms of old he was king, save in Rohan only, for he renewed to Éomer the gift of Cirion, and Éomer took again the oath of the Earl. Often he fulfilled it, for though Sauron had passed, the hatreds and evils that he bred had not died, and the king of the west had many enemies to subdue before the white tree could grow in peace. And wherever King Elessar went with war, King Éomer went with him. And beyond the Sea of Rhûn, and on the far fields of the south, the thunder of the cavalry of the Mark was heard, and the white horse upon the green flew in many winds until Éomer grew old. That's a lot more to go off of than what they're currently building with.
Right.
So, like, why not use what Tolkien himself wrote about the battles and the they had to go subdue all of these enemies? Why not write about that? It's right here.
I mean, I'm sure I must have commented on this back in the day, but it amazes me that Patrick McKay and John D. Payne, who've basically only got, prior to doing Rings of Power, one rewrite credit on their CV each. A rewriting credit, not a. They haven't written a episode or a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go from being a person who's done some rewrites on some scripts to one of them did an uncredited rewrite on Star Trek Beyond? Well, that film was a pile of poo, so that didn't help it any. And then the other one did an uncredited rewrite on Star Trek Beyond. So I assume that they both came in and did it together. They're writing partners, I assume. How is it that these two guys have been given one of the biggest IPs with the biggest financial risk for Amazon? Incidentally, it's the most money they've ever spent on anything.
I know that they are.
Who are they blowing? Do you know? Am I missing something?
I have no idea. I know that they're both Bad Robot proteges. I know they're like.
So what? I mean,
guys.
Great that they came out of Bad Robot, but I mean, how do you come out of anywhere? Doesn't matter where you've come from, with no body of work, but get to do the Lord of the Rings franchise. I just don't get that. There has to have been.
I think it's
some serious bribing and shit, because that's it's a chalice that everybody wants. That job.
I think honestly, if I had to, this is pure speculation, I think that they were easy to control. Like they wanted it.
Yeah, that could be it. Actually, that could be it. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like they have so little in their profile. Like everybody else submitted all this stuff. Well, then Amazon looks at it and they're like, hey, these are going to be our guys because they don't have the body of work. They don't have the leg to stand on. They are going to be easy to manipulate, for lack of a better word, because they don't have any of that type of backing. And if they try to push back, we can just say, all right, you're off the project.
Yeah, they're probably just yes men, but I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, I've looked at the writing credits. There are some experienced writers on this show, but look, it's 9 minutes to 4, so I'd better be making tracks. Let me make some final comments on the Two Towers. Yeah, definitely the best middle trilogy film of all time, in the best trilogy of all time.
Yes.
Unlikely to be beaten in my lifetime, I think. I mean, Rebel Moon, obviously, close second. Just kidding.
Close.
So close. And I mean, we've got the 9-hour extended cut to come. Yippee!
Good God. I was
actually cut that you all didn't know you needed. But
I asked, I was like, are we really gonna do this? Are we really gonna watch this? And it was a yes. It was a it's like it is our duty. And I was like, I don't want it. This is just bad. I'm gonna go to the garden and just weep in agony and be like, please take this cup from me if it is your will, Lord. But
so my favorite line in the Two Towers is probably, "Oh, you wouldn't deprive an old man of his walking stick, now, would you?"
yes.
That's a great moment. I also love that moment as well when Gandalf basically draws out the poison from King Theoden.
Yes.
And that's a great scene. And the extra stuff with Theoden is all, like, in the extended cut, is all really great as well.
Yes.
So yeah, God rest Bernard Hill, who was attached to do a film of mine at one point, by the way. I nearly got to work with him, very close, till the financing fell apart. That was another one. But he was, he loved the script, and which is obviously, to have an actor of that caliber attached to a script of yours is always nice,
Yes.
Nice compliment.
That's amazing.
So, this film is a 10 out of 10 for me. There's not many films I give 10 out of 10 to, but this is one of them.
I agree.
I think the first two Lord of the Rings get 10 out of 10. I think probably the Return of the King probably gets a 9.5 out of 10, just because there's probably one ending too many.
Pelennor Fields, though.
Oh, listen, it's all great. Listen, it's a tiny minor gripe. I also think the Ghost Army, that's not what happens in the book, of course. If you've read the book,
I know.
They basically take out the pirates, but they don't take out the army at Pelennor Field.
No.
I felt that was a bit of a cop out. Those are my two, but we're not talking Return of the King today. But anyway, this is an amazing film. I watch it every year, usually around Christmas time. Watch all three of them together. I used to do it with my ex-partner, but I haven't done it for the last two Christmases because it made me feel sad. So that's why I'm going to go and see it at the cinema with a whole load of other people. So I'm not on my own to break that cycle. But so when I've been to see it, I'll give you a full report, as it were.
Yes, I've just done my Iron Man of it in one day, and I can't wait to take my older kiddos to go watch it here one a day, because I don't think they could Iron Man that. I
reckon when I do all three of them back to back, because I know it starts at 10 and I think it finishes just before midnight, right?
Yep.
And I'm predicting that I'm going to need at least a minimum of 10 wee-wees during the three movies. So I'm sort of like, I've got a seat near the end of the aisle, so getting up and down is not too, because it's almost sold out now. So
it's the amount of excitement and buzz, like my my theater has not been that full in where I live now. It hasn't been that full in a very long time.
Oh yeah, because you're going to see the re-releases, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are this is the 4K re-release
Yep.
that I'm going to see. So
Yep.
I hope it's not too upscaled. I'm not too keen on all this upscaling shit.
So because I will say, because I have the 4K, I will say that because it was film and not digital, it translated beautifully. It's
Okay,
much
good.
It is much better.
All right. Well, listen. Thanks for letting me pop on. I was only going to come on for 10
course.
minutes, so I came on a bit longer than. But
Glad you did.
and talking about this and a few other Lord of the Rings ish segues. Yeah, I'm always happy to pop on if ever I see you online and you're streaming, because you stream it kind of, you're a bit like me, you stream a bit random times occasionally.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more consistent so that people can plan to show up. So
well, I'll always give you a shout if I see you online, and don't forget you're always welcome
likewise.
on my channel. Also, don't forget it's my 2-year anniversary on my channel on the 14th of July.
Yes.
Hey, which was you mentioned when I was in the chat. One of my interviews hadn't happened. Which one were you referring to?
Because you remember you'd gone down to the courthouse about the post office.
Yeah.
And you had said, or did I misread? I thought because the interview didn't. You went down there for
what
the
you're
interview.
talking about is no, I got invited by Sky News to go to Fenny Compton, which is where all the postmasters would meet up to discuss what was going on. For anyone that doesn't know, this is the post office scandal. It's the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history.
Yes.
And because I did the play about it, False Accounts, a couple of years ago, I was invited along, and they were going to do an hour-long special, and I was going to be interviewed and all the rest of it. But that was the day that the Prime Minister called the election.
Yeah.
So suddenly Sky News were packing up, and our 1 hour special was all cancelled. We got bumped. So hey, there you go. I got taken to Fenny Compton and back for the day, and got a free curry. So
there you go. That's.
But
yeah.
No, there you go. Yeah, that's the play.
Yeah,
that's my play. Yeah, there you go.
It was I wish I had been able to see it, but
there's me.
There's you.
That is the cast of the show rehearsing the show in my kitchen. That's my kitchen.
Who knew it would blow up to what it was? Because you were really the first one to
We were
rip this open and show everybody the truth, like rip the lid off. And
we did. Our show was 2 years before the TV drama, but if you haven't seen the TV drama, it's called Mr. Bates versus Post Office. It's now available in the States. Definitely check it in for sure. Check it out.
Yes, it's
all right. Let me let you get back to the Two Towers, and I better head off to my bed.
Very well. Thank you for stopping by. I always love chatting with you. I always learn so much, and we always have such great conversations.
You're very kind. No worries. Hail to the chat. Great to see the comments coming in. Keep those super chats coming in for Lady G. All right. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye, Lance. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. And that was Lance, everybody, from Creatives Outcast. If you've not followed them or heard of them, they are great. He's amazing, as you can tell, very knowledgeable. He knows everybody. He's incredibly talented. It is just wow. Yes, guys, if you didn't know, tickets are selling out for this stuff. For the re-release of The Lord of the Rings, it's packed. My theater, so the theater in our town is very small. So I have to drive about an hour and 10 minutes usually to see stuff, but for this particular re-release, they have it. And it sold out almost immediately. It's why I have to wait a few weeks to take my kiddos, because it was sold out. So I cannot urge you enough to get online and get your tickets, because they are selling out, especially if you're wanting to do it this weekend for Father's Day. I definitely recommend. Evening, everyone. Hello, Geek Archivist. How are you? Lyle says, we can all agree the trilogy is the greatest ever made, even though I already know what you're going to say. Elves at Helm's Deep. Yes, the elves showing up at Helm's Deep still annoys me. Yes, I understand why they did it. I don't agree. Like we have said, changes were made. Creative license was taken. Not all of it I agree with. But it still annoys me somewhat and is why I consider Fellowship the finest of the three. Okay, so Lyle, my thing with the Fellowship is, as you and I both know, Frodo had the ring for like he had it for 20 years. Okay? In the film, they do not do, like, it feels like at max 2 weeks. It feels like Gandalf takes 2 days to ride to Minas Tirith, spends a day looking for the information. It gets brought to him. He reads it. He rides out to try and find Gollum. The enemy has him. And so now Gandalf is hurrying back to the Shire to tell Frodo to move it, right? Because he's like, I got to go talk to Saruman. And obviously he doesn't tell Frodo that. But, like, you know what I mean? The time condensing really bothers me in Fellowship because people don't realize that the ring was wearing on Frodo. Like, he didn't even realize it, but the ring was there for 20 years, guys. Email for me with Gary and Melissa. Did you email it to ladygravemaster@gmail.com? You can email me, questioners. Yeah, you didn't send me one, but you sent it. So you sent it to Gary and Melissa? Okay. I will hunt it down. But yeah, ladygravemaster@gmail if you want to email me something. But I look forward to looking at it. I'll make sure that they know that they have it. The book depicted the events of Helm's Deep different, but it's been a while since I've read it. Yes, the events of Helm's Deep were different. And, oh gosh. No, this is Nostalgic Nirvana. We're going to focus on the good, okay? So, like we have said, the trilogy is not perfect, but it is as close to perfect as we will ever get. Because even if they tried to, like, remake them in today's world, like in modern day, it would get absolutely destroyed. Like, no, leave it alone. Flaws and all. Leave it alone. Yes, I wish we could have seen, oh gosh, could you imagine the Dunedain Rangers? That would have been so cool. Like, there's so much, guys. There's so much. That would be wonderful that if we could get to see it. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody when it comes to trying to remake stuff. It's not a path that I want to go down at all. I don't want to see that at all. Movies would have been very different feeling if they were trying to depict 50-year-old Frodo. Yes, it would have been. It would have been. It would have been a different feel, but I think that especially in Two Towers, a lot of different scenes and a lot of different situations would have really benefited from it. And you know, everybody gets on the fact that Tom Bombadil wasn't in there, but, like, honestly, I would have loved to see the Barrow-wights. I really would have. And now they're apparently going to show up in season 2 of Rings of Power, and I don't want that at all. Not even a little. They shouldn't even be there. Nope, not going to go down that road, because this is Nostalgic Nirvana, and we talk about the stuff we love. Because this is where we escape to. Yes, they sped things up, but because they needed to get oh, I know why they did it, Lyle. I know. Especially for non-book readers, but the elves don't make sense, especially since they essentially vanish after. Yeah, like, it's really hard because people, especially people who don't know who Celeborn is, that really jacks some stuff up. Like, I remember losing my mind. I was like, what? But, it was... I understood the reason for it. I still just wasn't a really big fan of it because, you know, as you know, like, when you make changes like that are central, that are very, they're plot drivers, and there's certain there's reasons why Tolkien wrote them that way, right? And so when you mess with that stuff, you mess with things down the line, and so the domino effect starts. So you can't go back and undo what you did to make the other thing work. Like Celeborn, like the elves showing up at Helm's Deep, Celeborn, like that's not something that you can't unring that bell. In you know what I mean? And that screws stuff up down the road. You know, that's one of my biggest gripes from season 1 of Rings of Power. There were many, but the biggest one being, you know, Galadriel's whole thing is she turns down the ring, she turns that down, and that's when she's like, I will, you know, I will remain Galadriel. Like she finally she overcomes that and she feels worthy to return home. Well, if she turns down Sauron directly, then the ring shouldn't have been a problem. Like, does that make sense? It's certain stuff you can't go back and unring certain bells. And so, like, as much as I love the films, God, the books are so great. Andy Serkis does a fantastic job. The audiobook, it is next level. Oh, I talked about him. Yes. Oh, that was my thing with Fellowship. I was like, why is Arwen being Glorfindel? Like, what is happening? Yes, I agree with that 100%. Again, I understand why he made the changes that he did. But I still don't like it. Yes, are you talking about like on PS2? I actually talked about this previously. I still think to this day one of the best games ever is The Lord of the Rings 2 Towers on PS2. Far and away. I still think it's one of the absolute best. For sure. Oh my gosh, John Beck, hello. Thank you so much for $5. Says about the time compression. Also, imagine the bigger impact of having 2 not young, are they middle-aged hobbits toiling through Mordor? Yeah. Well, you just think about it and you're just like, whoo, that changes so many aspects of so many things. And it puts the story in a different light. And so instead of sort of, you know, hurting for these 2 young male hobbits, you would have been like, you were more with that time jump. You're like, you know, they're truly getting to see this world and outside of the Shire and just how appreciate the Shire for what it is, you know, and I think that's a very different outlook and a very different path of empathy, if that makes sense. But yes, John Beck, you are absolutely correct. Thank you so much for the $5. I genuinely appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I don't deserve you. You guys are spoiling me. But like I've said, I know that no adaptation is going to be perfect. And I know that the Lord of the Rings adaptation is as close to perfect as we will ever get. Especially now. But I do think that going back and I get that not a lot of people are great readers, and I understand that Tolkien was a master with the written word. But some people do get tangled up in it. I recommend the audiobooks. I really do. Like, you guys, you don't even know like what you could be missing out on. Oh, please, like, get the audiobooks and just listen to the incredible story and listen to the things that you're missing. Because they are truly, I mean, it is storytelling at its core, at its foundation, and it's beautiful. And I absolutely, oh gosh, I cannot convey how much I love the books and how much I love these movies and the score. We didn't even get to the score. Oh my gosh. So we're almost at our 90-minute cutoff, because I always try to keep this between an hour and an hour and a half, but we're going to have to go a little bit longer because the score, guys, the score is just, I mean, I am not taking anything. I'm not taking away anything from any other. I mean, John Williams is a genius. There is no denying it. But what Howard Shore did with The Lord of the Rings, guys, it's just not, there's no topping it. There is no character of its own. It's not just something to, make the scenes feel a certain way. It's not just there as an afterthought. These are actual important characters of the film. Like, the score itself is a character. You get immersed in, the second you hear Rohan's theme, you know what it is. You hear Gondor, you know you're in, like, you're either about to see, you're about to see Knights of Gondor, or you're about to see Cavalry of Rohan, or you're about to see King Theoden, or you're about to see Aragorn, or like, and the Shire, you're about to have good food and good people and laughter and stories. And oh gosh, it's that immersiveness, and we just don't get it anymore. And it just took it to the stars and beyond. It was incredible what Howard Shore was able to do with the music for these films, and to keep them consistently incredible. That is something that is truly amazing. And even to this day, like, if you have nothing else around and you just hear that violin, like, just, oh, it's so great. It's so great. Yep, we're doing it again. That right there. So good. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It is so unbelievably good. Just, yes, Moria was amazing. Isengard, amazing. All of it was amazing, incredible, fantastic, superb. Like, I cannot come up with enough superlatives to describe the sheer genius of these films, and the incredible talent that is just oozing out of every corner. It was so well done. And I think the greatest blessing for this trilogy, regardless of its faults, the greatest blessing of this trilogy is that it flew underneath Warner Brothers' radar. They were like, oh yeah, well, they did those animated films way back when, and they did okay, but not great. So, like, this will probably just be like a niche little thing, and not get too crazy or whatever. And it has become this worldwide phenomenon that, I mean, the books obviously are the foundation for this entire thing. And those tens of millions of fans, hundreds of millions of fans already existed. But now you're able to share it in a medium that is so much more accessible to so many people, in such a way, with people who actually respected the lore and cared about it and wanted to do right by it. And it's just incredible from the very beginning to the very end. And every time it finishes, I just want it to last a little bit longer, and it never does. And you're just like, oh, what do we do? Well, let's start it all over again. Why not? Like, it's just, talk about an infinite loop of nostalgic Nirvana. Just get the extended editions and loop those bad boys for all eternity, if need be. By the way, we're going to get Howard Shore's Rohan theme in War of the Rohirrim. Yes, that I did hear. That was something that they are. Howard Shore came out and said something about that as well. The Rohan theme. There's going to be a couple of other things too. So I am interested to see that, because there is no denying. Even the Hobbit film, the Hobbit trilogy, for all its faults, the music, again, Howard Shore, like it. I mean, it's like Andy Serkis and Gollum. They have to be together. Yes, these were the soundtracks that were my life in high school. Yes, girl, I work out to these still to this day. I will work out to Lord of the Rings soundtrack. I will, like, if I'm in a bad mood, I will just put on like the Mordor theme, and I'll push it all out, like, just go ham. But like, oh my God, Pelennor Fields. Oh, when you really just want to feel like, for lack of a better word, ethereal, and you're already like high on the endorphins from working out, oh, put on Pelennor Fields. Guys, it's a whole other kind of experience. It's just fucking wah. Your heart just it's amazing. Yep. Yes, 17 Academy Awards when they met something later. Every single one of those films should have taken home best bit. Like the fact that they gave it to the fact that Return of the King got it, I think they knew there would be riots because Fellowship and Two Towers deserved it. Yes, Legionists, yes, they were robbed. Absolutely. All the right places all the right pieces came together at the right time with the right people. It is literally that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy is the definition of lightning in a bottle. And I know I just said it a few minutes ago, but I am dead serious. I think the biggest key to the success of this trilogy was the fact that it really flew underneath the execs at Warner Brothers' radar. They did not expect much from this, and so they weren't meddling. They weren't getting really involved, and they weren't interfering. And it was the greatest blessing in disguise for this trilogy. So yeah, there's just it's just amazing to that we still have these and we still have the books and that you can people have Lord of the Rings themed weddings. They have Lord of the Rings themed brunches and baby showers and birthday parties and all of these things that have just grown from the love of this man's gift to the world. It's just incredible. But you just love to see it. Lyle says everything is there to make War of the Rohirrim excellent, from the people involved to the score coming back, but it seems so set that it's going to be trash. We have the same people who made this trilogy. Well, the same people also made the Hobbit trilogy. Just saying. And I'm not set that it's going to be trash. I am simply, as I've said, I am simply stating the facts that were put out to the media for release to the public. If that's not what you want your show to be considered or even have the risk of it being misinterpreted like that, then I don't know. I've got my doubts. And we do have other people at work, and there's much more studio interference in this one. That's also something to consider. Way more studio interference. Because now they know what they have. They know what they have this time. So that's something to consider too. Yeah, New Line very much had Jackson's back. So that's also, you don't see that kind of bravery in Hollywood anymore, like at all. But it is what it is. On that happy note, with just Howard Shore being an absolute genius, I remember people were like, oh my gosh, why is he getting Howard? Like, why would you not get John Williams to do this? I don't remember why John Williams didn't do the score for The Lord of the Rings. I think Peter Jackson gave an interview about it. I don't know if there was another project he was doing, or I'm not sure what the situation was, but I think they had strongly considered John Williams for, and I mean, it would have been ridiculous not to. Obviously, it's John Williams, but I think they strongly considered him for Lord of the Rings for the score, and ultimately they went with Howard Shore. And I honestly don't know that anyone could have nailed it as perfectly as Howard Shore did. You know what I mean? All great things. Okay, so we've gone a little bit over time. I know I always try to keep these at like 90 minutes so that, it's you guys can still sort of have your evening, or if you're listening to this on the following day, you can get most of it over your lunch hour, if not all of it. I think you're right, Jason. I think you are right. I think he was working on Star Wars. I think you are absolutely correct. I think that's what it was. And I mean, it's Star Wars and it's John Williams. Like, you can't have Star Wars without John Williams, somehow similar to how you can't have Lord of the Rings without Howard Shore now. Isn't that wild? Oh gosh. It just speaks to the absolute genius and talent and capability of these men and what they were able to do. For sure. Just all around wonderful, wonderful stuff. So if you guys have not, I cannot recommend highly enough that you get your tickets for the extended version, because they are in theaters. The re-releases are in theaters, and you really need to go watch, because it's amazing. It's like experiencing the cinema and the films for the first time all over again. And you're like, God, this is what going to the movie theater is supposed to be like. This is why it exists. This is what films are supposed to be. It's glorious, guys. I really hope that you all can find some place to go and take someone, or just go by yourself, and have a really great time. It is true escapism, and it's going to help heal your soul for sure. On some great escapism news, Brandon Sanderson, he had a Kickstarter up for a while, and it was a year of Sanderson books all throughout 2023. I don't believe you can, it's all gone. You can't get them anymore, sadly. But Brandon Sanderson did a Kickstarter, and so he's got a whole new series coming in. It's the Dragon. It's by Dragon Steel Entertainment. I can talk. It's from Dragon Steel Entertainment. I would play the video, but I would get hit. I would 100% get hit. And so he had so much available. And so this is his little message. A word from Brandon. Never heard of this Sanderson guy before all this buzz about his Kickstarter? Read this introduction from Brandon about his books. If you are a longtime fan, you could probably skip this part, but we're not going to skip this part. Hello. Welcome to my increasingly unbelievable Kickstarter. I write primarily science fiction and fantasy with a focus on compelling characters and imaginative settings. That is the polite way to say that I write badass characters, and my world building is within the realm of genius. Like, not quite at Tolkien's level, but he could definitely stand toe to toe. He'd lose the fight, but he could at least step into the ring and not be absolutely shamed when he got destroyed. These books are an excellent place to start into my work, as they are each standalone novels that require very little previous knowledge of anything I've written before. If you're interested in backing the Kickstarter, you can do so knowing that you're not going to be launching into a big series. Instead, you're going to get a sampling of many different types of things I like to do. The one thing you should know is that many of my books take place in a universe called the Cosmere. 3 of these new books are in that universe. Think of the Cosmere like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I'm sure he wishes he didn't make that analogy anymore. But except every story, instead of starring a different superhero, is taking place on a different fantasy planet with its own ecology and magic. People can travel between planets via various methods. Many characters then make brief appearances in one another's stories, though the one that is most relevant to these stories is a mysterious storyteller named Hoyd, sometimes called Wit. That's all you need to know to dive into these 4 books. I hope you enjoy them. Now, back to my regular Kickstarter intro, and then he's got his Kickstarter intro. So these are his secret projects. You can go to the Kickstarter to find the YouTubes, but you've got Secret Project 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like I said, they are all, like, he is all sold out. But to show you guys just how much people were excited for this, his Kickstarter had 185,000 backers, and he, from this campaign, $41,754,153. That's what he was able to pull together for this incredible campaign. And it's proof that people are starving, dying, begging for incredible fantasy and sci-fi storytelling. That's all we want. And they refuse to give it to us. But Brandon is doing it. And I saw someone like make the complaint that Brandon is taking away from other authors on Kickstarter who actually need Kickstarter. And I couldn't help but laugh because Brandon is, yes, he's been very successful. I mean, if you guys have not read Stormlight Archives or Kingkiller Chronicles, those are just 2. I cannot, and he helped finish the Wheel of Time series after Robert Jordan passed away. I cannot express to you how much you are missing out on. It's just he's phenomenal. I've not read anything by him that I didn't love. I cannot recommend any of Brandon Sanderson's work high enough. It's just amazing. And he put this together because he loves his storytelling and he loves the way he does things, and he wanted to give the people what they wanted, and so this was the best way to do it. And this is, I mean, he earned this. This is after years and years and years of writing and storytelling and world building. This didn't happen on a whim. So it is entirely possible. You never know what something you do, who might find it and fall in love with it, and it could spread like wildfire from there. You just never know. But yeah, Brandon Sanderson, I recommend any of his books. They're all great. Oh, what's up, Aniga? Late. You're fine. It's okay. We're wrapping up. I'm running late too. I'm 15 minutes over time at this point. We're about to hit 2 hours on Nostalgic Nirvana, but it's the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I mean, the fact that it's not a 6-hour live stream should almost be a crime, guys. It almost should be. It's not, but it almost should be. But I would love to do like a EFAP style stream about each of the Lord of the Rings books and films, and just like compare and contrast and talk about them. And oh gosh, I'm not kidding when I say that I could probably spend 6 hours on just like the first 3 chapters of the book. Absolutely. I'll never complain about longer content. Whatever you say. Since I do 8-hour live streams, yes, you do. I've done a couple of 6-hour ones. Both of them were with 2 of them were with Disbrew, and I did another one. I want to say it was with Az. But yes, this is short form Lord of the Ring content. Absolutely, because it is only going to be 2 hours, guys, and you all know that it should be. What is that? Sounds like a bomb's going to go off. You all know that this could easily be a 10-hour live stream over 2 towers, and honestly, I don't think any of us would blink. I don't. I really don't. But this has been, oh God, such a joy. I've loved this so much. All of you, thank you so much on stuff, and I will repeat myself. I have never wanted to be more wrong about something than I do about War of the Rohirrim. So I hope that when I see it in December, It is absolutely breathtaking, and I love every moment of it. And it is nothing like what the media has released for the public. That's what I'm hoping. But time will tell, and we will see. So my Gravemaster levels. Someone asked, Mudcrab asked earlier about the novel that I was working on. And it's, if you are a Gravemaster member, I have a small treat for you on Saturday. So keep your eyes peeled for the posts. And then there may or may not be a Gravemaster member level live stream for you guys this weekend. And we'll see what you all think. Be gentle. It's just the first draft. And it's just a few pages. Wait, what? But it's good stuff. I'm really excited. You guys have all been incredible. Projects. I've got like 12 videos in work. I'm doing Wheel of Time stuff. I'm doing Rings of Power stuff. I just released a video 2 days ago over the War of the Rohirrim news. So you guys will have a lot of stuff coming your way. I'm going to bring back, I think I can confidently say Button Mash Mondays are coming back. So keep an eye out for those on Mondays. We're just going to have fun, kick back and talk. And I am in discussion with someone else about a Tuesday stream as well. But we will see. We'll see. So lots of stuff in the works. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sent you that email, by the way. Nice. Wheel of Time was 6 hours and 52 minutes. And for the first, hour and 10 minutes, we didn't talk about we did everything we could to not talk about Amazon's Wheel of Time because it was so bad. But yeah, that's where we are. Lyle, again, thank you so much for the 50 and for the discussion throughout the chat. I really appreciate it. I hope you're right. And then the John Beck, thank you so much for the $5. Your guys' support really means a lot. I really appreciate it. All of you in the chat for just taking time to be here and hanging out and talking about stuff that we love. Fantastic, amazing, wonderful things that I can't wait for someone somewhere to start a studio that allows us to escape again and get away from the Hollywood brand and the Hollywood message. But on that note, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate and love you all deeply. And as always, God bless, Godspeed, and have a fantastic night. I'll see you next time. Bye.